so excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Well, Hernan Salas is ready for the Stanley Cup Final. That was the most enthusiastic stage direction I've ever received when he said mics are live. Usually you get a point. You know, I worked in TV for a few years where you'd have the floor director, you know, kind of give you the 5. Do not adjust your sets.
We control the horizontal.
We're here. How's it going, everybody? Reed Wilkins in for Dustin Nielson today. Just a minor technical glitch with the audio off the top of the show. We were brilliant. Like, Gage and I were brilliant on that part that nobody could hear. Well, we'll save that for a future day. We can't relive it now. We can't relive it now.
Great, you guys.
Hey, Cass, how's it going, buddy?
And sorry to jump in, but I have to say, like going back because it cut out in here, so I couldn't hear what you guys were saying, and it's like I was in my mind trying to interpret what you guys were doing and just the body language and the physical actions, and I'm like, this is brilliant. I'm like, this is the best video I have ever watched in my life with these two, like full miming, but unaware that they're miming. I was like, this is amazing. So it's actually quite fun. I loved it.
It was pretty good. How's it going, everybody? It's the day before the Stanley Cup Final. Finally, bit of a wait to get it going. I am Reed Wilkins, obviously in for Dustin Nielson. Joaquin Gage joining me in studio here at the Edmonton Sports Talk Global HQ. And our buddy Matt Kassian checking in remotely as we have plenty of discussion about tomorrow's Game 1 between the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. How do you guys, like, when you talk to people out in your lives, do you get a lot of, why do we got to wait so long? I've been getting a lot of that from friends and family. Like, why hasn't it started already? What's the delay getting it going? I'm like, well, I'm not responsible for that, first of all. They do have to fly people in. They do have to set up all the stuff going on in the arena. But yes, it is a little bit of a wait. And I know we maybe could have started Monday or yesterday, but we didn't get that. Do you guys get asked that? And people who were like, Gage, why didn't you start it sooner?
Yes, I don't get as much blame as you do, it sounds like, Reed, but I get the questions are asked about it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's bad for the game that it's delayed. I understand you laid out the reasons why, just the logistics of everything to prepare everything, but I just think in certain markets, because you think back of decades of darkness, and except for the psychopaths that work here that constantly watch hockey, if your team's not in it, your focus or your I don't know, watching who wins probably isn't as important to you if you're don't have something invested in the two teams that are playing. But I think maybe, just maybe, if you saw your team and they're out, whatever, conference final, you go, okay, well, how did this, and they keep playing right away, maybe it piques your interest. I mean, weather's too nice. There's starts to be more things to actually start doing, and I think viewership probably falls off quite a bit from round to round, obviously, but I think maybe just tightening up the schedule might keep people engaged a little bit longer.
I don't know. I like having little breaks. Maybe that's just me. I'm just like, I let the emotions sit for a couple of days. Like, I don't have to yell at anybody in the nasty chat for a couple of days, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a little bit of a break. I get both. I guess I get both sides. Like, I get the logistics side and that argument, but then Gage, I also get that side too. Like, I understand both. So sorry to be a fence sitter, but I'm like, I could go either way. If it was right away, I'd be like, okay, good. We can get this. We get this done with. Like, keep the excitement going, keep the train rolling. This is awesome. And with a little break, I'm like, great, got a little break. Can try to be a good dad and spend some more time with the kids, and go to softball and do all the things. So I'm kind of good both ways, gentlemen.
Well, one of the good things is, I mean, this is it. So we know that 6 o'clock or probably closer to 6:20 start time for all the games. It's not as it was in some of the earlier rounds where you get the start time for the first 4 games, and then it's TBD for when the face-off will be for some of the other games, because it depends on who is playing. So we're ready to go. Oil Country is eager. We're ready here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Of course, we got you covered. So here's what's going to happen tomorrow. As always, the stream starts at 6 a.m. with the Nielsen Show. Dave J. in for Dustin this week. And we go all the way up until puck drop. So my show with Jay tomorrow will go 3 to 5, and then we'll have Tom and Hernan take over, and Cass and whatever guests they're bringing on as well. The GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show tomorrow from 5 to 6, and Tom's right there in the middle of it in the Ice House in Ice District Plaza, and then for postgame as well. So that'll be the schedule, how it works on Wednesday and Friday. I went to pick up my media accreditation today. So that's actually a part of Rogers Place I'd never been in before, because they're using an office that you access on 104th Ave, but at the west end of the building, like kind of across, I don't know what it's called, the Mercer Tavern.
Yeah.
What is it, Home and Away or something like that?
Isn't that okay, yeah, I know.
So that end. So there was a lineup, but they process you really fast. But it's it's amazing how many media people are here.
Oh,
And
really?
I know people might think like, okay, Reed, well, sure, there's, the American crew and a few writers, but the technical people that are here, right, for the setups, because I was in a line, there were probably 30 to 40 people ahead of me, but I was only in line maybe 10 minutes because they process you fast, and most people have been through this before, so you got to show your driver's license. They give you your accreditation, and you're out. So the NHL has it down to a science, and a lot of the media people, obviously, they want to get in and out, so they're like, you have your license ready? Okay, they find you and they get you out. But I didn't see anybody in line that I knew except for one person, Dave Parker, who is the TSN camera guy, works with Rashog. So he was in line behind me, and I didn't see anybody else that I knew of anyway who was on-air talent, and I didn't see any Florida writers or broadcast people. And there was 3 or 4 guys who seemed to be together in front of me, and they were talking about, okay, guys, we're going to have to string this. I think I can put this monitor here. I remember this from last year. Phil's coming by. I want to teach him something about the new board. Yeah, all the tech people that are in for this production, right? So not just from other TV stations or like TV stations around the world, but NHL people as well, setting all this up, right?
Wow.
So you see, I lined up, got my accreditation. Okay, that's cool. Got a new picture because seriously, guys, there have been years I've gotten accreditation from the Oilers or other, or you're covering something. Or a Grey Cup or a 3x3 event, and I'll send in a new picture, and then they'll still use a picture from when I worked at City TV, like in 2009. And I'm like, well, I don't even know if that looks like me anymore.
Yeah.
Like, but so anyway, but here's the thing, because sometimes people will be like, I want to see the accreditation, or can you put a picture on your Instagram? It's made very clear to you in both signage and in language. If you put your accreditation on social media, it will be revoked.
Really?
Because they're worried about forgeries. Yeah. Right? So Reed Wilkins posts his accreditation on social media, and now with Photoshop and scanners and who knows what else, somebody changes the name and puts a picture of themselves, and they get... So if... That's why you don't see anybody being like, oh, cool, I got my Stanley Cup accreditation. No.
It's not a backstage pass.
Because then you're not going anymore, right? So... I mean,
can you do it afterwards or no?
I don't know.
I'm sure you could do it afterwards.
Yeah,
I'm sure you could. I don't know why you would, but you could probably do it afterwards.
It's kind of cool to have because it's only a select few that get to like usually it's a free for all to get in there with your media accreditations, but for the Stanley Cup, it's like all locked down, and the NHL
it's different getting into the building
it's
too.
completely
like
different, right?
An airport style scanner, different stuff.
Yeah, so. Even for because Gager, we have the NHL or the Edmonton Oilers alumni does a wonderful job with alumni that are in the house, and they have a nice little room with some snacks and some treats. In there, and my brother is going to the game 1 tomorrow with his wife and my dad and her dad. So like his father-in-law they're taking the dads to a playoff game, so rewarding them for everything that they have done. And so I was going to hook him up with some passes for that. And even in talking to the wonderful crew that functions the NHL alumni, they were like, hey, make sure he has his accreditation on him at all times because they're locking the building down. It's like for going for that, they're like, hey, just everywhere you go, it's going to be way more ruthless. Yeah. So
they still have the alumni room during the finals.
Still got it during the finals. But again, apparently getting to it, because, well, you know where it is, and I'm not going to say where it is, but you know where it is, Gager. And getting to it is going to be more tricky. Going to be just more security guards in and around, which is a good thing. I mean, I'm fine with that. That's fine. A little more security around. It's okay.
Yeah, no. I'm shocked that it's even around. I thought it might be used for something else at this point, but just because that everything changes so much during the playoffs. But no, that's good, Reed. Are you excited to get back to the rink in the Stanley Cup Final?
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's a privilege to cover it.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. And then you guys know I love what I do, even though I act surly all the time. But I said last year, because a lot of it, I got a lot of questions and I was broadcasting from Studio 99 last year for pre and post with my previous job, and it was kind of a funny thing because I would say it would have been a career goal to cover a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
But something I had no control over. Like you're at the not the whim, but whatever you're at, like however good the team is. And sometimes even a good team can't get to the Stanley Cup final. So it was cool to cover a Stanley Cup final. You know, to be there, be in the rink, get to do the pre and post on the rights holder at the time, you know, when I was there last year. And of course it'll be cool to do it with EST last year, but that was part of my experience last year. So I was glad to soak that in. You know, I wasn't there in the building when the cup was presented, so like I didn't see that live or anything like that. But it is a cool time of year. It is different for sure. All the people around. It is neat seeing all the other media in town, and even hearing the different languages. Right?
Yeah,
There'll be
Finns, Swedes, Russians,
probably people.
Maybe not
there'll
Russians.
be German media here.
German, right?
Certainly, you know, a lot of other European media. A couple people are in the nasty chat are asking me about the media buffet, which I generally don't partake in. I only got it a couple, and it's not massive during the Oilers season. And quite frankly, it's probably not worth what they ask you to pay for it. So, and with the thing here, I'll be leaving tomorrow at 5 and getting in there. So I'll probably just have a first intermission snack if there's pizza or whatever. So no, everybody who wants a food review, I would not expect one. Tom won't be doing that either. It's interesting what people ask, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I know this is a prestigious event that you're taking part in again, 2 years in a row, Reed. But I don't know if you realize this. I didn't even know this. But Brandon from Windsor, and in the text, the River Cree text line 780-218-9999, actually is said this is our 500th episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. So you are part of the 500th episode of Two Guys.
Well, so that goes back to 1260.
Yeah.
EST hasn't been. Yeah. That's incredible. So you guys have been around that long.
Yeah.
Been around a long time.
We're the flagship.
Yeah. So, wow, no Dusty.
No Dusty. Yeah, he dusted us for his buddies.
Bailed on us.
That's sad.
It's a nice milestone, though.
It's a great milestone. I'm glad you're part of it.
Well, thanks, Gager.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes.
Tricks for Reed and his 500th episode.
Yeah, for me being on, I think I've done like 4 of them since filling in since I started EST. Of course, the presenting sponsor of Two Guys and a Goalie, GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become part of the team. Visit gsconstruction.ca, click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca with the Next Person Up program at GS Construction. It's not just a job, it's a career. So Gager mentioned text. You can text in 780-218-9999. You can post stuff in the nasty chat that's off and running on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there as well. Let's at least get to 100 thumbs on this hour-long show today. You can also email Reed at edmontonsportstalk.com. Somebody said I'm smuggling Popeyes into the rink. I might be able to get it into the rink. I mean, I don't think that would be a forbidden object.
No, I don't think so.
It's not metal or anything. It's not going to set off
snack,
the metal
right?
detector.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Maybe the wrap, right? Maybe you have to.
Yeah, maybe I have to put it in a plastic bag or something like that. The Oilers skated today. I'm just this is the media day, right? So Knobloch and Stan Bowman were doing an availability that started at 11:45. So I've just seen some tweets on that. We'll have audio throughout the afternoon. Any key comments along the way there. And then I think around 2 o'clock, Zito and Maurice are going to speak. So that's all part of this. And the downtown community arena is turned into the media center, which was maybe the craziest thing to see last year. So let's dive into some stuff here, guys. And I was thinking, okay, how are we going to talk about this series? Because we've been over a lot of stuff. We've already had a few days to tee it up. So I thought, okay, I'm going to ask them something from a Florida Panthers perspective.
Okay.
So, Cass, I'll start with you on this one. If you were the Panthers, which Oilers defenseman would you most want to target physically? Because I think for the Oilers, even though they've been very physical throughout the playoffs, I think in the Vegas series, it was like, okay, if we're going to hit one guy, we got to hit Pietrangelo. Not that we want to let Whitecloud or whoever off the hook. I think in the Dallas series, it seemed like Harley And again, not like they were letting Heiskanen or Lindell or anybody else off the hook. So if you're the Panthers coming into this series, which Oilers defenseman are you saying we got to make sure we bang that guy around?
Yeah. Well, I think if you are the Florida Panthers and this is what you're looking at doing and you are looking at winning, some people, they may say Matthias Ekholm, coming back from injury, still could be a little banged up, nicked up, still have a little bit of the feels. But I think if I'm the Florida Panthers, if it was me personally thinking, who am I going to run? Like, who am I going to, if I get a chance to get a little elbows up on, if I get maybe a little mini hit from behind, not straight numbers, but kind of numbers, maybe a little bit in one of those hits. I think I'm going after the butcher of Sunshine, Florida, Evan Bouchard. We saw him react finally with some angst in his game and chipping pucks out of the zone on occasion and a couple cross checks and a really mean slash on Hintz. But he is the guy. He's the guy. After how he has played the last two series in particular, Evan Bouchard is a guy you got to go after because Darnell Nurse is like, yeah, you could hit him constantly. Like he's gonna give it right back. He's that's physical. It's in his nature of how he plays the game. Like he's fine with that. You're not going to run Darnell Nurse out of the rink with your physicality. Like he is going to actually, if anything, like he's going to respond to that and be engaged. I think Evan Bouchard is a guy. Right, like he's a puck-moving guy. He's been fantastic for the Oilers. Point production is there. I am looking at that going like, he's a big guy. He tries to wait you out a little bit, tries to play patient, but just run him and 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 see how he's doing in game 3, 4, 5, 6, however many games it needs. Like he absolutely is a guy on the Oilers defense where I'm taking a look at this. If I'm Florida, I'm saying I'm going to get in that guy's grill every single time he touches the puck. I'm going to be, even if I'm not running him over, like I'm just going to be in his face. I'm going to be in his face after every single whistle. Like just make it annoying to play if you're Evan Bouchard. So yeah, I'm going after the butcher for sure.
Yeah, I have to agree. If you're going to rank them, probably Cass, it would be Butcher, the Viking, and the Pink Pony Show maestro in Darnell Nurse afterwards. I think you want to finish everyone. We all have seen the Paul Maurice, the video saying don't make plays, finish them. So they got nothing left for game 7. And it's isn't it weird that we're not weird. That's the wrong word I'm looking for, but how we look at Evan Bouchard in the playoffs compared to the regular season, it's so polarizing. And the way he plays is polarizing. It's amazing he plays this way. And I think we were joking on this show, or Hernan and I, if the Oilers do go on and have success and win the cup, and next year when Bouchard's doing Bouchard things, are we going to be, Bouch, silly old Bouch?
Well, that is a good point, though. Like the cachet of having won a cup would change a lot of things.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
so.
Mistakes would be overlooked, but it is amazing how Bouchard is a mostly different player in the playoffs. I think he's kind of the obvious answer, and I wonder if just because if you're the Panthers thinking like, okay, he's still the guy who's going to crack. He's still the guy who can be mistake prone and did the whole tap out thing against Vancouver or whatever. They want to hit Matthias Ekholm clearly and probably see what he's like. They also know that you might just bounce off Matthias Ekholm sometimes. Is Nurse going to play any differently if he's hit? Probably not. Is Kulak going to play any different if he's hit? Probably not. Is Wallman going to play any differently if he's hit? Probably not. Klingberg, I doubt it. I mean, he's been deep into the playoffs before. So maybe they think, okay, Bouchard handles the puck a lot. We got to rush him because we have seen him turn over the puck more in the regular season. And then maybe they're thinking maybe he's the guy. Like, let's face it, Ben hit him from behind in that one game in the Dallas series, probably a penalty. Yeah. And Bouch turned around and stuck him in the neck. Yeah. Definitely a penalty. And they both got away with it. So maybe they're thinking, okay, maybe that's the guy we can get a power play or turnover out of if we pound away.
Yeah, and I think like you said, Cass, with Darnell Nurse, the old phrase of you played against those guys like don't poke the bear. I think if you try to engage him more physically, that brings out the best in him. Like, I think there's a level of discipline in Darnell Nurse's game where he does take a number. He might take liberties with him in the corner, but the next time you go into that corner, you might have to pay the price with a certain level of physicality that might hurt you later on.
All right. Two Guys and a Goalie on Edmonton Sports Talk. We're presented by Play Alberta. So we got new codes for June here.
Okay.
So you can deposit $20 to get a free sports bet using the promo code EST Sports. So all one word. And you can also deposit $20 or more to get a $50 casino bonus. The promo code for that one is EST Casino. So this goes until the end of the month. It's usable for new and existing players. So that's pretty cool. So remember that. Reed Wilkins, Joaquin Gage, Matt Kassian getting you ready for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final tomorrow. So the referees for this series are Francis Chiron working his third Cup Final. I'm just getting this off scoutingtherefs.com, which is a pretty good website. Jean Hebert, third Stanley Cup Final. Wes McCauley, his 11th Cup Final.
Wow.
And Chris Rooney working his 8th Cup Final. Scouting the refs noting that Hebert and Rooney back from last year. And the guys who worked the conference final who didn't make it, Eric Furlat, Dan O'Rourke, Garrett Rank. He's got to get ready for the U.S. Open. I don't know how he's not in it this year. And Kelly Sutherland. I like how they also post the guys who didn't make it. So I thought to myself, what could I ask Gager and Cass about officiating that's a little different? So here's what I'm going to ask you guys. Gager, I'll start with you this time.
Okay.
If you, I'm talking you, Joaquin Gage, not the royal you, you, Joaquin Gage. If, Bettman called you and said, hi, Gager, because we know he calls you Gage.
Right, yeah. Mr. Gage.
He says, look, I just want you to, I need to make sure these refs are on the rails and focused going in the Stanley Cup Final. Can you drop by the, they're having a little lunch this afternoon. Can you just talk to him for a minute or two? So if you could meet with the refs for a minute or two, what would you tell them?
Oh gosh. If I would say up 10, up 1, doesn't matter. Overtime, first period, call the rule book. That's what I would say. Call the rule book and keep it at that. Don't try to manage it. If the game's if Connor McDavid, if they're up by 5 and he gets a hook, it's still a penalty, right? I think I'd like to see that. Will it happen? No. But that's what I would say to the refs. And actually, I went to high school with Dan O'Rourke too. So
really?
I could, maybe I'd have his ear a little bit more, but he probably wouldn't listen to me.
I'm assuming you're going to want me to answer this too.
Oh, absolutely, Cass. Yes, absolutely.
What would I say? Can you let at least one game get out of hand? Just one. Maybe the first one. Just let the first one go, and let the emotions spill over and crazy stuff happen, because it'll just set the tone for the rest of the series, and that'll be fun. So, if I'm not asking that, I guess I'm going to sit and I'm going to ask each of the officials to define a word for me. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to be I'm just going to go and I'm going to go, can you define this word for me? And they're probably going to be like, what word? And I'm going to be like, consistency. And I'm going to wait to hear what they have to say. And I'm going to record their answers. And I'm going to put them on those big poster board signs. I might need a couple of them, depending on the answer. And I'm just going to have little kids that at every time the whistle goes and there's a break and the referees skate back to where the penalty box, the penalty box area, when there is a timeout, and the kids are just going to stand up and hold up those definitions in front of the glass for them to look at and to see and to read in their own words what consistency is. Because that is what I want, gentlemen, from the officials. If it's all bad calls, that's fine. Just make them consistently the same. If they're all good calls, that's fine, even better. But make them consistently the same. Like, and it's kind of similar, I guess, Gage, to what you said, where it's like, I want a hook in game 1, period 1, to be a hook in game 7, period 3.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want the consistency, however you're going to call it, just call it consistent. Like if you're calling something in game 1, but then you're not calling it in game 7, that's the exact same thing. I have an issue with that. If something's a hit behind or wasn't a hit behind in game 1, in game 2 or game 3, but then all of a sudden it's a hit behind in game 4, like that, I have a problem with that. Like, just give me consistency as a player and as a fan. That is what I want. I want to see consistency. So that's what I would do, guys. First, I'd be like, well, no consistency in game 1. Just let it get chaotic and crazy because it'll be a blast. And then after that, call it consistent.
I love how you mentioned that they call hits from behind, because clearly they don't, Cass. They
don't. I know. Right. That's why I would be looking to do that all the time. I'd be like,
I would, you know what I would like to do, like even in between games, be the fly on the wall to see how the different crews, like, are they watching the games? What type of discussions are they having with the refs that maybe do the first few, or like to keep that consistency throughout, because how many times in my career where you'd have certain refs just called the game different, right? You knew how they called the game. And so you would actually have to change the way that you played depending on the ref at times, right? They were just, they wanted to be the life of the party. And I mean, it's just, for a ref, it's the same. Like, they are going to be influenced by the amount of emotion in these buildings. Like, they're going to be hopped up on it too, right? Like, there's pressure, there's game-like pressure on them too. This is deciding that one of their calls, linesman or ref, could result in a team getting an advantage or winning a Stanley Cup. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a group of people. So I would be fascinated. And the fact that we don't have this yet, it kind of bugs me in a sense with today, the peeks behind the curtain. I think there would be some, I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I definitely have time to hear the refs with proper questions after games while the emotions are still running hot on why certain calls were made, and more probably why certain calls weren't made.
You know what I would say, guys? And look, these 4 guys are considered to be the best refs in the world if they're picked for the Stanley Cup Final. There's always going to be calls. You know what I would say to the guys going into this series? I would say don't fall for the guys who are trying to trick you.
Right.
And I would actually pick out 3 players, and Oilers fans are going to be mad about one of them, I'm going to say. But this series features Brad Marchand, who you don't know what he is going to do. Mm-hmm. He has licked guys. Earlier this season, he choked a guy. Like, he does weird stuff. Matthew Tkachuk is one of the most rugged players in the league. No doubt about it. But he'll give you the head snapping back motion. Yeah. Right? He'll give you the, oh, look what he did to me. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, Connor has little things he does to try to draw penalties. Like, he will skate next to a guy in the neutral zone and put his wrist into the guy's belly. And dare you to try not to hold me. Mm-hmm. I would say don't get fooled by the guys who are trying to trick you. Like, if Connor came to, I'm just trying to look at this as neutral as possible. If McDavid does that as a ref, I would say, hey, man, like, I know he was kind of holding you, but you put your hand in there. Mm-hmm. So if you keep doing that, I'm not going to call you if I think you actually are being held, because I'm going to assume you did it. I'd even say the same thing to Tkachuk. I'd say, I saw you snap your head back, and Nurse poked you with about 10% of his total strength. Yeah. So if he actually winds up and drills you, I'm not going to call it if I keep thinking you're snapping your head back. Like that. That's what I would say. Don't fall for the guys trying to bait you into a power play. Like and I would say, and don't bother calling dives, because I hate calling dives or one each way.
Yeah. The embellishment.
Yeah. Just tell the guys, if I sense embellishment, I'm just not gonna give your team a power play. Like, forget about it. We're just gonna keep playing 5-on-5, and you can, the whole cry wolf thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Cass, did you ever have like rapport with refs that you would talk to, or they would talk to you during a game?
Oh,
about
yeah.
things.
Yep. Oh yeah, there was some. There was some you could. There's some you couldn't.
Yeah.
The ones that I found I had the ability to do that were ones that it's like, they were officiating me in junior, and then they were officiating me in my first couple years pro, and then they were officiating in the NHL. Like this is like they moved up the chain with you. Those were the ones where typically you had the good rapport with. There's some of them that you didn't, and that it's not like I was a 15-year NHL veteran. So some of those guys you didn't have the same reputation with, where they just wouldn't even listen to you. They'd just be like, "Nah, just get out of here." Wouldn't even talk to you. Yeah. And I always was, and I think I've said this before. Like I always tried to be really respectful to them for the most part, because I'm like, okay, if I'm being really respectful all the time and like talking with them, not yelling at them, but talking with them about things, then when I am yelling, they'll know that I'm mad about something, right? Like it will actually cause them to assess, because it's like, oh, he's not usually mad. What happened? Like sort of thing. So I wanted to use that to my advantage if I could, but there were some. Kyle Riemann was one. He's still kicking around. Basically, I think every year, starting from my first year in junior, like I don't know if that was his first year reffing in the WHL, but it's like he was in the West, and so it's like I had him the entirety of junior, and then had him all the way in the A, and then the NHL too. So we always had a really good relationship where we could have good conversations, and then every once in a while he would yell at me, and every once in a while I would yell at him, and it was good. It was fine. It was great. But yeah, so it just, but it's ref to ref. It's ref to ref, right? Like each ref is different in how they respond to that. And I think as a player and as an organization, as a team, as a coach, you have to recognize the officiating personalities, and you have to find a way to butter their ego or break down their ego, depending on what is going to be the most favorable for you. Because some things, or some people, some officials, you want to just butter them up, right? You want to kiss butt, as it were, a little bit, right? Like you a little smoochy, like pat them on the back, make them feel good, and that's going to get you the best outcome. And some of them, you need to shred them, right? Because it's like, they're scared of talking. They just don't want to deal with you. Like they're scared of talking to you. Like they intimidate them basically with that. And I would say there's more in the NHL at that level that want the butter up than it works, because generally the ones that get intimidated don't make it that far. But you still kind of got to know just the personality. And I wish it wasn't like that, but it is.
Troll texting in, he says, I'd call all the dives, and the idiots who think that it's soccer will stop doing that crap. Kachuk could get a penalty every shift. Al says, hey boys, Bouchard only had 11% of his possessions as turnovers in the regular season. That's sixth best in the league. He was in the middle of the pack of turnovers resulting in goals. You can keep saying he turns over a ton of pucks, but you'd be, how do you say it, demonstrably wrong. That is from Al. Yeah, I mean, look, we're saying is he had moments in the regular season where turnovers resulted in goals, or they went up the middle of the ice. Of course, he has the puck a lot, and he makes a lot of great plays with the puck. There's no doubt about that. But I do think, Al, if you have that percentage, I bet that percentage would be lower in the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
So, fair comment.
He doesn't get enough praise for his puck moving ability.
No, absolutely.
Like he'll make an 80-foot pass and people won't even bat an eye at it because he does it so much.
Yeah.
Right. And it's tape to tape with a guy flying through the neutral zone. There's not a lot of guys that can do that. Yeah.
I think, Al, we recognize how good he is with the puck. I think in the regular season, too, there were games in which he would stack his errors. I mean, that third period in Toronto, there were 2 or 3. Yeah. I mean, you might have a week without a turnover, and then there'd be like 3 and 5. But that's fair, Al. We recognize he's a really good defenseman, and he's having a really good playoff. Hire it or fire it, by the way, presented by GS Construction. They are hiring now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. Gentleman in the Nazi chat using the handle Stoffer for Premier, which is a terrible idea, by the way. He's firing my take on McDavid. He says, Reed has a death wish with this take. Just goes and calls McDavid out for baiting the refs before game 1. There's been lots of takes on this series, but that's one nobody ever wanted to touch. We'll probably joke around. But I've had, like Brownie and I used to talk about it. And here's the thing. the question was, what would we say to the refs?
Yeah.
The question was not what does Reed Wilkins think of players who try to draw penalties? I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the gamesmanship.
It is part of the game. That's what you want. That's what a coach says to you before you go. Keep your feet moving, draw a penalty. That's what they say.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with what McDavid does. I mean, he's the fastest guy in the league. Yeah. So if he's skating by you and he invites you to hold his arm, I'm like, good for McDavid. What I was saying is I would tell the refs, watch the guys who are going to try to manipulate you. Mm-hmm. And I do think Connor does that. I do think Tkachuk does it. Clearly, Marchand is a wild card. I mean, I don't mind the guys who put their toe or whole foot over the line. I mean, I've said this dozens of times over the years. Leon Draisaitl is probably one of the dirtiest skilled players in the league. I'm serious. Yeah. Like if he gets upset, he will cross-check you. He will slash you in the back of the leg. You know,
he does it when you're not upset too.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
like he'll just do it. He'll just do it. You'll see him. Yeah, it's great.
So no, I know that person's probably joking around a little bit too, but I don't have a problem with players who try to do things.
No.
All right, let's talk about a couple other sort of fun things, and then we'll touch on another angle or two about the lineups. When you guys played in the National Hockey League, professional hockey, I guess even junior, what would you think about during the national anthem? I mean, you see the guys rocking back and forth, or some guys might be singing, some guys might look bored, some guys might look like they're ready to cry. What would you guys think about during the national anthem?
It was basically just part of my routine. I hated two anthems, and I still do. I just liked one because it was over quicker. I didn't like standing there through two anthems. But usually I was just going through a checklist of items that I usually had before the game. You know, make the first save, know who you're up against, just kind of going through their lineup. Where if I've played against that team prior, where certain players have tendencies, they have shooters, passers, things like that, stuff to look out for. And depending on where I was facing, I would kind of get myself a little bit psyched up about going against the other goalie. So that was kind of my routine during the anthem. No, and I stayed in the net too. I didn't like to move out that far, so I just stayed in the crease. Some guys go out to the blue line. Some guys are, out a little bit more. I guess it depends where the singer is too. Sometimes I didn't like them too close to me,
right?
Because they were just belting it out, especially if they were bad. It was tough.
Yeah, guys. That was very, very different than what I was thinking about during the national anthem. To me, it's one of my favorite times in a game, both the anthems. People that are like, get rid of the anthems. Why do you need them? And I'm like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, and it was the end of a pregame routine, right? Because it's the last thing that's consistent. And yes, the way that it's performed is different, but it's consistent. Like that last thing before that game starts, you're doing the national anthems. And it was such a moment of peace and calm for me, where it's like, no matter the nerves, no matter whatever, like whatever you're feeling, the heart rate fluttering, the adrenaline and the excitement and all that, it's like this moment of not complete stillness, because it's not like it's completely quiet, but of relative calm before the storm hits, right? And so for me, generally, it's like I would just breathe and just soak in that moment. And especially in playoffs, like where it just even more so, because it's a bigger moment, right? Like it's a bigger moment. And so it's an opportunity to, I want to say, feel the vibration of the crowd, like to feel the energy, to feel the crowd. Like it's a little darker in there. The lights aren't all the way up. Like, I don't know. It's like this beautiful moment of just thinking about nothing in a lot of ways, like just kind of just shutting your brain off for a few seconds and being in the moment and in the experience, that kind of like a mini meditation or a prayer in some ways, like in that moment. So I don't know. I really, really loved it. It was a beautiful thing. I think the only one where maybe I struggled to get to that point was round 2 in playoffs against the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2013. Game 1 of that series in Pittsburgh, because I started that series. Started the series. And I was looking across at the anthem, and I'm like, Iginla, Crosby, Kunitz, Letang. What am I doing? Why am I on the ice right now? Just can't we change now? They announced who their starting lineup is as a visiting team. Like, should I just stand beside the bench at the opening faceoff and get ready to just,
the door
just
open.
step right off? Like, door, you can't have it open. Ref will make you close it, but like maybe have the lever up so you can just pull it off and I can step off the ice. And that's basically what happened. But no, I don't know. I love the anthems. Beautiful moment. I don't think about much in those. It's just, again, like a chance just to quiet myself before the craziness.
You know, it's not that I don't like the anthem, but I didn't like there's a Simpsons episode with Bleeding Gums Murphy, and he sings the national anthem, and it takes, like, the American anthem. There's a lot of different ways it can be sung, and so, like, when you have an 8-minute American anthem, that drove me crazy, and I would kind of snicker to myself, oh, here comes Bleeding Gums Murphy again, because this person draws the it's like 8 minutes, 9 minutes, this thing. Where the Canadian anthem is pretty, you don't meander too much from it. It stays on its path, where there's a lot of different ways you can go with that American one.
Cass, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. That's really cool. As we were bringing up what we would say to the refs before the series, several people have texted in to 780-218-9999 saying that they would tell the linesman to drop the puck, which is probably great advice given some of the things we've seen. I really like this post in the Nasty Chat from the Deutschland Dangler saying we need to ask Paul Maurice what we should do with the anthem.
Right.
He now determines the etiquette for after the game, so maybe he needs to determine the etiquette before the game as well. Anyway, we'll see about that. We had other ideas. I don't know if we're going to get to all our ideas for this one. I got the Connor Brown didn't skate today, by the way. Apparently he's sick. And again, we'll have some audio from Knobloch and some players with Gager and Hernan on my show from 3 to 6. Look, we've seen how the Oilers are playing consistently. Everybody's jumping in. You know, if a new guy comes in the lineup, he sort of picks it up. The dedication, the commitment, the checking, the shot blocking. If this series is a long one, are we going to notice the absence of Zach Hyman, or can Connor Brown or whoever be adequate, as this series goes on against a very good team?
I think so. It's just you get like you said, the next man up mentality, but I think there's just what he brings. You can't replace it. You can try to stopgap it for a little bit, but I do think if this series does go into the deeper waters, so 5, 6, and 7, you will start recognizing that Zach Hyman. You're going to be telling yourself, "Gosh, be nice to have Hyman in the lineup right now."
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 less hits a game.
Yeah.
The longer the series goes on, the more you feel it. Because he's just the way he has played, or the way he played up until the injury this playoffs, was just physical and hitting everything, and that wears on you as the series goes on. So, the longer the series goes, the more they miss him.
All right, we'll start with another fun one that I had. It's a 5.5-hour flight from Edmonton to Fort Lauderdale. That's generally, I think, where they fly into, because the rink is in Sunrise, which is north of Miami. The only time I was there was to cover the draft in 2015, and that's how I went. I wasn't on a charter, though. I had to stop. I think I went through Dallas on the way. 5.5-hour flight. What's the best way to pass time on the flight, Cass?
Some guys might say cards, play card games, but generally those are too expensive for my taste, so I avoid those. I mean, hey, I'm a movie and TV show guy. We know that, right? So I probably, it's like, if you get a good series you haven't watched yet, you can crush out a couple episodes. If I'm not doing that, probably reading, and then thirdly would be just music. If I just need to shut down and close my eyes, put my head back. So I'm going with potentially card games if it's not too expensive, depending on who's playing. So card games 1, movies or shows 2, book 3, and then music would be number 4.
Okay, pretty good list.
Yeah.
I don't know what he means by the card games being expensive. Like you just play a deck of cards that's quite cheap, and you play for fun, right? So I don't know what he's talking about.
Probably a few bucks being thrown around.
There's a few dollars. Yeah.
I loved sleeping, man. As soon as that plane would take off, I would probably be out a minute or 2 in.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's I don't know what it is. I think it's just a Western League thing, Cass, where you were on that bus for so long sitting straight up that you develop the ability to sleep. Like you're almost like a cow. You can sleep standing up.
I never did.
Right?
I never did. I never did.
My
Never
wife,
could do
my
that.
first year in Europe when she was with me, we took the train into Glasgow. And of course, I get on the train. It kind of rocks you to sleep, and we're sitting across from each other, like we can face to face on a train. And I just kind of closed my eyes, and I guess she talked to me, and she thought I was dead because I fell right asleep. And she goes, "Are you actually sleeping?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And she couldn't believe I was sitting straight up and just had my eyes closed for a second and just dead asleep. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Well, I've thought you were dead a couple times here.
Well,
at work.
basically, but most of my performance on here, you have to check for a pulse.
All right, great show, guys. Thanks. Apparently, the 500th episode.
500
of
talked
Two
about
Guys and a
refs
Goalie.
and anthems.
I got to be on it, which is pretty cool. Cass, great to see you. So you're on pre and post tomorrow. Are you going to go down there, or are you checking in from the home studio?
I think I'm checking in from the home studio.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a little chaotic, and I got 8 million because I said my brother's going to the game, so we got 8 million little cousins that are all running around,
okay.
ready to,
Awesome.
ready to watch. So
That is Matt Kassian. Joaquin Gage is going to stay in that chair and do EST afternoons with Hernan Salas. I will be back from 3 to 6 for my show with Jason Milne, Sean Bell, and Chris Cuthbert.
Whoa!
Scheduled to join us this afternoon. Talk to you soon, everybody.